Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another exciting edition of Pardon Our Picks, where perfection is a work in progress. I'm your host, Sam. Alongside me, as always, is 2/3 of the crew. How you guys doing?
Doing well, man. It's a different time slot for us this week, so it's interesting to see if the later time slot's going to bring a different energy.
I think this time slot's going to bring less energy from me, but I'm also doing pretty well. I'm a little bit tired. Emmett's having a little sleepover right now, so you might hear some background noise.
Oh, one of the friends in the neighborhood?
No, Evan.
Oh, Evan. Oh, gotcha. Well, we are, of course, brought to you by Aardvark Concepts Incorporated, more than just a sign shop. Check them out in Westminster for all your sign and decal needs. And in Too Deep of Maryland, I don't know when their next show is. I don't think they've posted it. But check them out on Facebook to get information for when they do have their next show. So, Week 18, the last week of the regular season. Most things are pretty well bottled up. Unfortunately, for some teams, it's the end of the year. For others, this is the playoffs. This is part of the playoffs right now for them because it's a lose and go home, or a win and get in. But I digress a little bit. We do have a little bit of breaking news today. Just a little bit. Troy Aikman has been signed by the Dolphins, of all people, to assist in helping transition a GM. I gotta ask, has he been out too long for this to be a difference maker?
I think so, personally. I mean, he's been out of the league. I mean, Sam said, and I trust him being a Cowboys fan, that Troy Aikman's been out of the league for 25 years. Now, granted, yes, he does call games. He does watch a lot of film. He does get to watch a lot of games. But him just jumping right into essentially an executive-ish level position, trying to help Miami hire a new GM, I just feel like he's the wrong person for the job, personally. Like, sure, obviously, he was we'll say good to lower end great quarterback of his time and arguably of all time. But he's been out of the league for so long that I'm wondering if the type of qualities he's looking for are not going to apply to the NFL today. Now, granted, Miami, kind of a dumpster fire of an organization right now. I mean, their entire organization could look completely different when we are talking about them in 8 months or whatever, when we do this again for next season. So I guess they've got to try and throw something at the wall and see what sticks. But I personally think this is a bad hire.
I don't know that I agree. So Troy Aikman, yeah, he's been out of the playing position for quite some time, but he's constantly been involved in football. He's, clearly he's got some kind of side business where he works with some level of management to have that as an option for them to hire him to come in as a consultant. So I would imagine, him being involved in the game for as long as he has and knowing it from the quarterback standpoint at least, would give him a pretty decent advantage for them to respect him enough to let him get the job. But besides that, they could also be using him as a, he's a solid career guy. He doesn't need this he could be coming in there as the guy that's going to tell them what they don't necessarily want to hear, or tell them the direct answers that they need, which could lead them away from some of the bad decisions that they've made in the recent past. With that, this could also mean that he could be the reason that they move on from Tua. And if it doesn't look good, he's an easy one to blame for it. So I think it kind of works out for everybody.
This is definitely not within his usual bailiwick. He's been an announcer for 25 years, almost. He played quarterback in the NFL when he was a player. And as far as front office goes, I don't think there's any history of him ever assisting a front office with anything at all. Dallas, when he was there, did not ask his opinion on anything. So he doesn't have any credentials for this. Could it be lightning in a bottle, one of those things where it's just a different perspective? Sure. But I'm not, for Miami, I'm not holding my hopes out that he is the answer to get the right kind of GM in there. Now, maybe they're going to do what they did with John Elway in Denver, where he left, he was gone for a while, and now he's the COO of the Denver Broncos, where he basically runs everything, but he doesn't do any of the actual player hiring or anything like that. Perhaps that's what they're thinking they're going to get out of this. And I don't know. And quite frankly, John Elway's been okay. He's had his ups and downs. He's not great. He's not the top tier of people who are in that kind of position, but he's certainly not the worst. Let's say mid tier. And maybe that's what they're hoping for with Troy. Kind of a tryout with picking out a GM, and then if that kind of works out, if he's able to pick somebody that they all think, okay, this is going to be a great fit, maybe they slide him into that kind of position. I don't know. It's hard to tell. I'm kind of a dumpster fire like that.
I do wonder too, because we've seen this with Tom Brady is not allowed to go into other teams meetings and stuff like that for pregame stuff. I do wonder if that is going to cause a conflict of interest for Troy as well for his announcing. But I know he's not in an ownership perspective, but he's still involved with the team. So I'm gonna be interested once this actually gets flushed out more, because this actually is breaking news. This happened today, to see if there's going to be any conflicts of interest there.
Yeah, and one of the things that the owner of the Dolphins actually said that they were seeking him out for was his quote strong relationships across the league. So,
which makes sense. He's definitely garnered quite a few strong relationships. I mean, a lot of people don't know what the announcers actually do, other than announce what's going on in the game. They do a lot of homework ahead of time so that they know what's actually going on during the game, what kind of plays are being played. So they actually have to talk to the coaches. Now, they can't give that information away ahead of time. It's part of their contract. But they do spend a lot of time with these coaches, with the GMs, with a lot of these people. Maybe that's, like Jessica alluded to, maybe that's what they're hoping for. Speaking of hoping, let's take a look at the standings. Me and Brady tied at the bottom.
I noticed, though, that, you put me at the bottom, even though alphabetically I should be ahead of you. And I had a better record last week.
You had a better record last week, but we are now tied. I was ahead of you last week. So instead of, going through the process of moving me below you and you above me, I just left it as it is until you actually pass me.
That'll happen this week. I'm confident. I'll feel vindicated when we do next week's video.
It's a possibility, but if you look just north of our names, somebody's within striking distance.
We're in the last week of the season. He would have to get everything right, and she would have to get everything wrong. I hate saying
What?
she, like Jess isn't here.
He means you guys are in striking distance of Tarek.
Yeah, I don't even think that is, with the way the games are getting laid out this week.
He's 4 ahead of us. If you get them all right, if I get them all right, we can catch him.
I guess we'll see.
That's right. Speaking of C, let's take a look. Let's see who's going to win the AFC North with our pop panel game of the week. I had the choice. This or the Seahawks San Francisco game. And I feel like this one hits closer to home with some of the people that actually watch this game, or this show at least. So what do you guys think? Who is going to win the AFC North?
Well, this is not how I think either of these teams' fan bases expected this to happen going into the season. Everyone expects Week 18 to be, kind of maybe a rest period. But as these two teams have kind of hobbled their way into the playoffs, this is kind of what we're stuck with. So going into this week, Baltimore came off arguably their best game offensively because they stuck to the run and they only threw when they had to. The defense, got lit up by Malik Neighbors. Malik Willis. So good things on the offense, bad things on the defense. Then you look at the other hand for the Steelers. Their offense was horrendous last week. They seemed more. I agree with Myles Garrett, where it seems like their offense was more concerned with not letting him get the sack record against them versus actually scoring points. And their defense, they did their job. They held Cleveland to 10 points, and that was enough to win the game for Cleveland. Unfortunately, though, the Steelers did lose their big body tight end in Darnell Washington.
Darnell.
Darnell. My names are all. I apologize. To a broken forearm, so he will not be playing this week. And the Ravens are coming in relatively healthy. Lamar is expected to play. So I'm going with Baltimore on this one. I do think that the Steelers defense is going to give the Ravens offense a little bit of fits. But I do think when you look back to the first time these teams played, the Steelers offense, they looked really good, and the Ravens have that on tape. The Ravens offense did not look good during their last game, so I don't feel like the Steelers have enough to look at. And when you look at potentially giving Derrick Henry 20, 25 yards or 25 touches a game, it's kind of hard to keep a defense motivated when you're on the field for 5, 6, 7 minutes of time while they're just slowly chunking you down the yard. I think it's going to be a close game. I think we're looking at like 23-20 here for the final score, no matter which way this goes. But I'm going with Baltimore.
Okay. I don't think it's going to be that close of a game. Normally, I would say yes, but yeah, because of the injuries, and Baltimore started doing some things last week that they were doing earlier in the season on defense in the good ways. Like getting their hands up to block some of the passes. Those are the things that I think every team should be doing, and they all get into these habits, these patterns of when they're doing it consistently for a little while, and we kind of fell off there for the last, it seems like a long time. But when we were doing it, it was working more often than not. And I think watching Aaron Rodgers try to throw the ball and getting them batted down by the other teams as well, it gives us a good shot against them, with them having so many limitations on offense and defense. So I'm not sure if Watt is going to play. I don't believe he is, because he was unlikely.
He's practicing, but there's been no official word yet.
Well, he was unlikely. I actually am in the boat where I don't want Lamar to play. Excuse me. I have been threatening our offensive coordinator internally and our head coach privately for so long now. I mean, we've had years where we've just had such bad play calling, and it's cost us major games, playoff games, where there was a huge outcry about how we were not handing the ball off. All of a sudden, we abandoned the run game. It works for us all season, and then we get into the playoffs and we abandon it. It works for us for the first half of this season, and then we start abandoning it and we start losing games and whatever. And it doesn't matter that Lamar is hurt. We've got knockoff Lamar as our backup quarterback, and he's a great stand-in. He's a really great stand-in. But it shouldn't matter a whole lot if he's got the threat of him running it. He can, which opens up play action pass and Derrick Henry or even Keaton Mitchell. But our run game is the key to all of those things. Luckily, we don't have Cooper Rush standing in there just trying to throw from the pocket all the time. That doesn't do anything for our offense. Now, our defense, our secondary would likely be picked apart a lot more if Metcalf was in, if their tight end was in. Our secondary is trash. And I believe that with some of our defensive linemen, our linebackers coming back in the last couple of weeks, our pass rush has looked a lot better. So the one weakest part on the Ravens team is the secondary. And I think because of that, with our offense doing as well as it's been doing, I think we can score upwards of 35, 38, 40 points, even against the Steelers team. And I know it's generally a hard-hitting back and forth. I don't think this is going to be like that, honestly. I think Aaron Rodgers is going to take some hits, not a whole lot of them. And I think they're going to have a really hard time completing a lot of passes. Not Smith, what's his name? Without Scantling. He didn't even show up last week. Like, he wasn't getting his head around. He wasn't looking for the ball early enough. And I'm sure they will be in a better place this week, but they're not going to be there. So I am going to take the Ravens, and I think it's going to be more than a touchdown.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyway, I look at this game. The Ravens need to get to Aaron Rodgers. They need to force him to throw the ball quickly, especially since he doesn't have his big target. DK Metcalf, of course, punched his ticket to the offseason already. And quite frankly, not a moment too soon for the Ravens. And Lamar is going to be probably 80% of Lamar. With his back hurting, I don't think he's going to run around as much as he usually does. It's usually good for the Ravens when he runs around. It gives them time to get open because these receivers do not get open. No. They're not open immediately. The Steelers, TJ Watt, questionable, might come back. We don't know. But it's all about the Baltimore Ravens defense. That's what the key is. The Steelers, they're probably going to put up 20 points this week. Probably going to put up 20 points against this really not good Ravens defense. And if they needed secondary help, there was a guy in town last week who didn't go back home with his team in Trayvon Diggs. They could have picked him up. As part
the
of
Ravens are so bad with trading, man. So bad.
Released him. They put him on waivers. They could have grabbed him, but they would have had to pay his contract.
Yeah.
And that's probably why they didn't do it. That and the fact that he's really not as good as his contract says. So, of course, that guy went to Green Bay. Not an issue. But I got the Ravens winning this one 23-20 in a divisional.
I like the way you think because that's what I said.
Yes.
I think we should make a bet.
What's on the line?
All right, so I don't know, but if they're within 3 points, like you guys both think, then both of you win. If it's 5 points or more, then I win.
Okay, what's the stakes?
Yeah,
I don't know. We should come up with that. Carol, what you got?
Yeah, you're the
bet there, Carol.
Vegas all the time.
It wouldn't be fair to say shave our heads because I already do that.
And I don't think I'd look good bald.
I don't know, Jess. I think you could rock that.
I don't know, man. I don't know what's hiding under here.
Probably a couple of
spots.
random ones.
I could have like warts or something. I don't know.
All right. Well, while we ponder that, let's jump into our pop panel quick pick'ems. We got one person picking Carolina to win the division outright without help.
That was tough for me. I almost picked them.
Tampa Bay, I don't know what it is. They started out super hot this year, and I don't know if it's just the injuries that they kind of befell them, and it's just they've been on this slippery slope downwards, and they've shown no signs of getting up. But it's one of those games where, like as Jess kind of alluded to, it's a 50-50 shot. It could go either way. But the Seattle 49ers game, that is one I am very excited to watch. It is on Saturday night, 8 o'clock. Perfect primetime game where, I mean, we're going to see so many things like happen and get locked in. But on Saturday, just between those two games, and this is what I love about the end of the season. Oh, drinks are good. I like drinks.
Drinks are good. I'm looking it up now, too. But we'd have to wait till after January because I'm actually trying to do dry January. I know.
January. I'm better than everybody else.
Well, considering I'm not a drinker,
As you look at my liquor.
I will still participate. Sure.
But yeah, Saturday's slate of games I think is going to be great for being the only game in town. So.
Yeah, and San Francisco, the Seattle game, it was like a coin flip for me, but I went San Francisco's way simply because they're at home. They played hot last week. Seattle did not.
But their defense did not look great last week.
San Francisco's didn't, but they were playing against a high-octane offense too, so I think Seattle struggles in San Francisco. And I picked the Saints to win in a game that actually has meaning.
Mm-hmm.
Because if Tampa wins, they need the Saints to win.
This is the great thing. I mean, everybody was counting, and they made it.
Hang on. We can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
I don't know what's going on with this crap mic. So that's what I love about the late season is the Saints. Everybody was counting them out for the past 8 weeks, and then they make a quarterback change to this Tyler Schlaw guy, and he's on a 4 or 5 game winning streak. I mean, that's kind of bad for the Saints organization because they're removing themselves from a top draft pick, but they've potentially got a good quarterback here, and going up against the Falcons, Kirk Cousins is playing for a position next year because there's no way that Atlanta is going to keep him with his contract on the roster going into next season. So this is one of those games where there's so much on the stake for the playoffs, but there's so many other things that underlie just that game right there of things that could impact next year.
And quite frankly, yeah, surprising they are on a 4-game win streak. But with the way the tiebreakers are, Atlanta, if Atlanta wins and Tampa Bay wins, you'll have all 3 of those teams at 8-8, 8-7, 8-9, whatever it ends up being. And Atlanta will win the tiebreaker over Tampa.
Is Sam frozen for you?
No, just you.
Yeah, just you. And Carolina would win the tiebreaker outright based on common games, conference games, something like that. So it would be interesting, but I gotta say that it doesn't matter. So
Mom, what do you mean ask me about your house?
Nobody knows.
Type quickly, we're going to the next slide.
We are. Think about it. I think the Titans actually get the win against Jacksonville. Just a hunch. The defense has been much better.
Slicker.
And the offense has actually picked up a bit. So I got Tennessee winning that one.
I wonder if Tarek knows that Green Bay is starting their 3rd string quarterback this week. Now, granted, he didn't look bad, but he came in an emergency situation last week against the Ravens and didn't look too hot. Mom just texted me and said all the booze in her house. Mom, you have to remember, Jess knows who I am. And if she knows who I am, she knows who you are. You can have that.
100%.
And Sam hangs out with me at least once a week and has for the past like 5 years. So, I mean. But no, I agree though. I think Tennessee, I think Cam Ward is the solution to Tennessee's quarterback problems. They just need to get pieces to complement his skill set. And Tony Pollard is 66 yards away from having 1,000 yards a season. So they haven't. Yeah, I know. Surprising, right?
No. I can't get past the Cam Ward thing. Like, I've seen very little of him this year, but let me tell you, it was ugly. Like,
I agree.
Decision-wise, it was ugly.
But this is the
funny
building
is
block.
they have been in most of the games that they've played.
Mm.
Like, they have lost by a touchdown or less in.
And who all
More
did they
than
play? Who are we talking about they played?
Let's see. The Broncos, they lost by 8. The Titans, they beat the Cardinals. Lost to the Raiders. Chargers, they were within 7. Texans, they were within 3. Seahawks, they were within 7.
Honestly, I think the Seahawks are kind of a, I don't want to say like an imposter team, but
I think, honestly, though, if you get Cam Ward, a decent wide receiver, a better O-line.
Wait, didn't he have Calvin Ridley?
He's been out for the past, 8 or 9 weeks.
Right, but didn't he have him?
For, 3 weeks. I mean, you can't, okay, you have someone on your roster. He's not playing, but you have him. Why aren't you playing better?
No, he played with him, though.
For 3 weeks.
And how did he look?
Decent.
No, he looked like trash.
I'm saying he's a rookie. You expect growing pains. No real rookie comes in and lights up the league every single year.
Listen,
but
you can't look like a kindergartner out there, okay?
If that's what kindergartners look like to you, I need to start drinking more milk. But I'm just saying, I think Tennessee has something here, and I agree with Sam. I think this is going to be a very close game because Jacksonville tends to beat the teams that they're not supposed to beat handedly. And then when they play these teams that are, sub 500, they do not play their best football. So I can see that being a very close game. But Jacksonville, they need that game because, again, I believe if Jacksonville wins and Houston wins, Houston has the tiebreaker, right?
Jacksonville still has a game up on them.
Oh, they still have a game. Okay.
Yes, that's why Jacksonville currently leads the division. But if they end up tied, Houston wins the division.
Gotcha. So Jacksonville needs this win.
All right. Next slide. I think the Bears start to play people, and then they're like, I can't win. They can't win the number 1 seed anymore. So
well, that's what I'm worried about. Is I don't know who's going to have all their starters and who's not. So I'm these for me. They could change just because if I find out coming up to the game that they're not going to start a bunch of people, I'm going to start flipping my picks.
Yeah, agreed. And that's another thing people are saying about Buffalo is that Josh Allen is potentially not playing because by the time their game starts, their seating could be locked. So,
no,
or not locked, but their what's the word? Their opponent would be locked, I think.
Wait, did they lose last week, Buffalo?
Yes, remember it was that horrible call to go for 2 instead of tying the game.
Yeah. So they can't win the division.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man,
but
it was.
Either way, I think the Jets still lose.
Oh yeah, agreed. I don't even know Trubisky, Mitchie T time.
That's right.
But no, I agree with Jess though. I mean, if I am personally believing that Chicago is not going to play their starter, so I'm just going with Detroit because they're playing with pride. Like they want to go out on a high note for what is arguably the second most disappointing season, I think, in the NFL for this team, for a team. So
I'd say definitely disappointing. One of the more disappointing ones in the past 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
So,
And I was just going to mention, Broncos still playing for the 1 seed, so they're not going to sit anybody. And the Chargers have already mentioned that they are sitting Justin Herbert to try and let his hand heal a little bit more. So Trey Lance will be starting, and I feel like Trey Lance is going to not have a fun time against that defense. That's it.
I think he gets 2 touchdowns.
I don't think he gets
Didn't
200
Denver's
yards.
defense not play too great last week?
No,
It's Trey Lance.
still. But yeah, I think Denver wins the number 1 seed outright with this win. Then we move on. All of these, and I could see the Cardinals winning simply because the Rams cannot win the division. It's all that seeding for them. But I think that they still win. I think they still beat the Cardinals.
Yeah, I mean, even, we've talked long droves about Jimmy G and his ability to manage a game. And I think even just him going out there and, throwing for like 175 and Blake Corum rushing over Kyron Williams once they pull their starters, that's enough to beat the Cardinals this year.
Yeah. And then, of course, I'm picking Philly whether Jalen Hurts starts this week or not.
What condition is Washington in?
Pretty poor.
Jake-
Have you seen him?
Yes, but I mean, I don't remember I know Jaden Daniels came back and then did he go back out?
Yeah, I don't think
think-
he's playing this week.
No, they're sitting him for the rest of the year because they were like, once they got like mathematically not eliminated, but like on the brink, they were like, we're not risking this kid's career. He's done. It's Marcus Mariota's show.
But I think they've had some pretty close games even in the last couple of weeks, haven't they, even without him being in?
They have, but how do I want to put this? I think Washington sees the writing on the wall. They could potentially send Philly into this game a little beat up, or into next week a little beat up. And I think that's going to cost them. I think there's going to be another one of those chippy divisional games. And it's kind of the way I'm seeing this.
Yeah.
The other question becomes New England. They see that Denver's up by like 3 touchdowns going into the third quarter. And their game is close-ish with the Dolphins. The Dolphins could have come back and win that one. They could win that game.
Yes and no, because as much as I know Carol is going to hate me for saying this, I don't think Quinn Ewers is the answer for Miami. I think they're just kind of putting him out there to see if they have anything for next year. And I think the answer is no. So I think even against New England's backups, even if, they pull Drake May, they pull Christian Gonzalez, they pull all the good players, second string's still good enough to beat Miami's first string this time.
All right.
All right, guys, that was week 18 for Pardon Our Picks. Thank you guys so much for another wonderful regular season. Unfortunately, we did not get to the goal of 100 books sold. We only got to 40 this year, but who knows? He says he's writing a sequel, so maybe, but it'll be done by the time we come back for the regular season next year. You'll have a full 18 weeks to try and get to 100 books, and I'll shave my head live on stream. But thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to join the Facebook group where we will post discussion posts. We'll be in there. If you comment, we'll talk about some stuff, whether it's football or other sports. Who knows? We always say we might do something, but we never do. Who knows?
Other sports. What?
Yeah, there's other sports besides football, Jess. Didn't you know that?
No, thank you.
But don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. That support means the world to us because maybe one day we can, actually get professional setups and I won't have to work with a crappy mic. But guys, thank you so much for another wonderful regular season. And I'm Football Jester.
I'm Jess, the winner.
I'm Sam, the up-and-comer. And you guys have a great week 18.
Peace.
See y'all.